Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter @ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, bringing you our Local Marketing Industry Weekly Update. Now, our next LMS member faculty call with live questions is going to be next Wednesday, December 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Today, we've got something new. It's going to be a little bit of fun for LMS members. So we're going to begin with our weekly update and, of course, the local business tip. And then for our faculty call, we're going to be introducing what we're calling at this point in time a hot seat. And I really want to give a great thanks to Catherine McGoldrick. We're going to call her Kathy moving forward from this point. And thank you very much, Kathy, for giving us the opportunity to learn a little bit about your client and some of the challenges that you're facing. And it's really unique when we get into this because the challenges that Kathy's facing with her client is exactly the typical challenges that we face on a regular basis and that our students face, and we get a lot of questions around that. She's taken some good time to line out the questions, but one of the biggest challenges that's being faced is changes to profiles, and profiles aren't really being shown up and found. And we're going to get into this and see some of this stuff real time and what we have to do to make those corrections. But before we get to that, let's go through with our weekly tips and update. Now, last week, I talked about videos, and we said that there was 4 different types of videos that a small business can truly make. Of course, we can go well beyond that. But inside the course of a year, it should be your goal for search marketing services to be able to create this type of media and content. It's not that difficult. Video is a very powerful tool in marketing a business. It's a very powerful piece of content, and it's a piece of content that could actually be distributed to sites that are hosted. For example, did you know that the second largest search engine on the planet is actually YouTube? In one sense or another. Well, it's owned by the largest, being Google, and that's one area where we can house this type of media. So not only do you get exposure, but it definitely helps in rankings, and more importantly than at all, it helps on conversion. And that piece of conversion is very important. That's why we make quality content. And just as a review, those 4 types of videos are a testimonial video. You want 5 to 7 testimonials, very short. The video somewhere around 2.5 minutes long. You don't have to have too much of an intro. You can drop your PNG logo on it, have a little bit of background music, and you got a great testimonial video. A walkthrough video for a lot of different types of businesses that just gives a sense of a certain prospect. They're going to have the feeling that they've already been there once they arrive. They'll be a little bit more comfortable. It's not a new area. Great piece of content to create. There's the commercial videos, anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 or 4 minutes that really are fast paced. And then, of course, technical types of videos. But this week's tip, we're talking about press release, and now we're starting to move. We've talked about different types of content that could be created and where that content is distributed and how that content is relevant for a local business and all of this types of media. And then you want to get that media out there. And talking about press releases, I have 2 things that I want to touch on that. And first off is press releases are a form of marketing that have been around well before the internet, well before I was born. It's a very important piece in the marketing mix. And essentially when a business has news, or changes within that business that could be newsworthy within the industry. If, for example, people that are interested in the transportation sector, they may want to know of some new equipment that one of their competitors have picked up, or a local community would like to know perhaps if a new business has come into the area, or if that business is going to be doing some construction, or is brought on perhaps a local public figure. I mean, the list can go on of different reasons why. And now the second side that I wanted to talk about with press releases are through the eyes of an internet marketer. And way back in the day, all the way back to 2005, 2006, 6-7 years ago, and even prior to that, even more so prior to that, as a matter of fact. But this became a mainstream strategy probably, maybe a little bit later, maybe 06, 07, where press releases were created, and people would go out and get a whole bunch of press releases created for a variety of different reasons by a variety of different writers from a variety of different countries, and ultimately go and distribute that for the sole purpose of getting a link back to the website, and a link that preferably has anchor text. Well, it defeated the entire purpose of what a press release really is. There's all these different press release hosting sites that are out there, and they existed well before the SEO community came onto this. But it was a very strong strategy to get these links and to get exposure that's out there in a way that was doing it. I mean, it's still marketing to a degree, but it was very half-assed, very poorly done. And worked for some time, and as we know, as the algorithms got smarter and updates were brought out, that these links have completely dissipated. A lot of these hosting sites that have popped up since then no longer have value or have merit to it. It's possible that there's going to be some lawsuits, but Google in some cases has just completely wiped certain domains right out of their index because of this poor quality content and the reasons why these sites were used. So having said that, using a PR strategy is now more effective of an SEO strategy than it has ever been. We went through a period of time where it was a little bit effective, but it missed the mark of trying to achieve the marketing goal, and that's communicating information of relevance to your prospects, customers, partners, and the industry at large. That's by definition of the American Marketing Association. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to get and what are some of the best ways to get these PR information that's out there into the offline and the online community. And in turn, this is ultimately going to strongly support your local search marketing efforts or local SEO efforts, and strongly support your conversion efforts. Now, first off, writing style. I don't have this in my notes here. But there's different writing styles to writing a press release. And first off, if you're going to have a writer, you've got a couple of choices. You can write it yourself, if you're located close to your clients, or it is your business yourself, your local business. And you definitely want to talk about different topics that are somewhat newsworthy. I threw out a couple of ideas. You can go to Google and type in press release ideas and get a whole different list. And one way or another, you're going to be able to find newsworthy information about a business. When writing, you want to absolutely write. The writer's got to be, utilizing the native language in that local area. They've got to understand the local jargon, understand the local community. You can't hire a press release writer outside of the local area for that. I guess an industry, if you're very knowledgeable about an industry, you can absolutely use that as well. The next thing is the writing style. And a press release has got a certain, I believe, if I'm blowing the dust off of terminology from school, it was called an inverse pyramid strategy. A lot of news content uses that type of writing style, and think of a triangle that's upside down, and you've got the base up at the top. And in a press release, right at the beginning, you want to give all the most important relevant information initially, and then as the press release gets down to the bottom, it gets less and less important. Now, for example, utilizing a 3-paragraph or 4-paragraph approach, you've got your introductory paragraph. You give the details of the newsworthy information and a high-level overview of what they're going to find. The next paragraph or two, being the body, is going to discuss all the details of the scenario that's being presented. And then the final paragraph is going to be your closing and just discussion of the business itself, who the business is, who's the business information, their contact information, where to get more about them, etc., etc. Once the content is created, again, you can get much more education on this even inside the portal. I've got an hour video or so on press releases alone. When you've got the LMS membership, you get access to all of that content that's in there as well. And then, of course, screen shares and examples. Now, distribution of a local press release. You want to get it out there as much as possible. Who cares if it's the same content on a variety of different sites that all link back to the same site? Don't worry about that. Don't even worry too much about having a full link on there. As long as you've got business citation references, preferably you want to have the full map. If not, you want to be able to get references in there somehow. And you can distribute your press release to, in my area here, we've got a whole handful of different newspapers, and they have full departments that accept this type of stuff. Whether they're going to run it or not, who knows? You don't know. There's a lot of different regional newspapers as well, and these are surprisingly easy to get into. These types of newspapers are consistently looking for local news and relevant news and whatnot. There's also just about anywhere in the country, and as well as Canada that I know of. I can't speak for other countries. A lot of establishments will have a lot of free publications, and they create these free publications through sponsors of advertisers, but press releases are free. And, up here, in the suburbs of Chicago, there's one called Suburban Woman, and I remember a national one called Coffee News, and being able to well, I don't have anybody else in the office here today. I'm in the office this week, so we're gonna have to let that one go. We didn't have heat yesterday and this morning. In Chicago, it was like 53 degrees or somewhere around 11 or 12 degrees Celsius in our office. It was just ice cold. So I caught it. We got it around noon today, and hopefully we'll last the winter. I like it warm, so I'm in here by myself. I've got it, 74. Like it. Go to your local chiropractor's office or dentist office, and they'll typically have stuff that's just sitting out. And you can go and grab that, and then you also get an understanding of where these free publications are distributed. As well as the local Chamber of Commerce. There's different local networking groups as well. There's national chambers of commerce, state chambers. They're all over the place, and you can get your content distributed through them. Preferably, if you're a member, you get a much better chance. Local colleges as well. They've got a variety of different sources that they publish content, and you can get your press releases reproduced through them. And just go and approach a business administrator and start asking questions, and you can get your content in there. And as you can see, there's some work. You can spend half an hour to an hour to get this piece of content distributed through one source. That's a lot of work for one quote unquote link, is it not? I mean, there was a point in time that we were looking for thousands and thousands and thousands of links to our site. And now I haven't even SEO'd my own site, just creating content that's out there. And when we say that, that's One Marketing, WONmarketing.com. Within 8 months, we were ranking #1 for Chicago SEO company, beating out companies, with that new domain name, beating out companies that have been there for years and years. It's just a matter of creating good quality content that's out there and getting it exposed, which truly is what we should be doing as marketers with or without the internet. All right. For this week's weekly update, got a few different things. First off, there's a disconnect, and I want to talk about the disconnect between what small and medium businesses use Facebook for and what consumers use it for. This is something that I've really, ever since 2008, 2009, is when the whole social media craze begun. And people started to jump on that bandwagon and started to become social media experts for businesses. And they went out and tried to win business from all these local businesses. And I often wondered that. And I got questioned so many times from so many people, why aren't you focusing on social media as a service? Every employee I've ever worked with says, Scott, you can charge this much more money and start to deploy and give social media services. I could never really wrap my head around it. I cannot understand. There's a few things, of course, about Facebook that I do understand about how it can help business potentially. But the amount of time and effort that needs to be put into it, that is just such a vague, broad, different area that you had very little ability to even potentially measure any activity being spent and money spent. It just was not a marketing channel that I felt was sustainable, and I didn't have any interest in it. And so it's really neat to see now, 4 years later, what's really happening for these local businesses and what we've decided to do. And we recognize a few different things. It's, SEO per se, and mobile marketing as its own entity, and social media marketing as its own marketing initiative. The lines between those three are blurred more than they've ever been blurred in the history of internet marketing. You can't deploy a search marketing strategy without having social media components of it, nor mobile components of it. Plain and simple. And really, the mobile component and the social component are merely channels to distribute your content to different audiences for different objectives. Well, that's marketing at its finest. Creating content and distributing it through channels of relevancy for your audience. So, they're not entities on their own. They're not something that you're just going to go out and hire a social media marketing expert for. Larger corporations that have these channels and have thousands and thousands of followers and fans, is a very different level of interaction, a very different level of commitment. And how is it possible if you're managing 10 different companies, or your project manager is managing 10 different companies, that they're going to gain an intimate knowledge on a social side for any of their clients, as opposed to just going and posting crap that's out there? How can one person possibly do that? I don't think anybody's got not anybody, but most of us don't have the brain capacity to be able to manage and have an intimate knowledge of customer relations for 10 different businesses. We have a hard enough time trying to do it for one company. So you've really got to get to a heavy level, a very close level, to work with your clients to supply a quality social media marketing channel. That's not the business I was in. And for that reason, that's not a channel that we've deployed. However, every single one of our search marketing clients get content distributed through the social channels by us. When we create content like videos, when we create blog posts, and et cetera, and podcasts, it's ultimately announced through these social channels. We make the content readily available and easily read through the different display devices, being tablets, iPhones, and desktops. They all render differently. It's just a matter of presenting that. Well, if you've heard of a company called Kelsey, they've BIA Kelsey, they've a very, very prominent firm in the United States that's got a bunch of data on a bunch of different businesses. They reported that 42%, now listen to this, 42% of small and medium businesses say they see Facebook as an important acquisition tool. Okay? So almost half the businesses in existence said that they see Facebook as an important acquisition tool. They're investing time, money, and energy into this. 42%, almost half the businesses, okay? That's mind-blowing. To me, that's like, holy shit, there's opportunity to go out here. If there's 42% of businesses are recognizing this, let me consider that game. But this is where it turns around. 2.1% of adult internet users said that they used Facebook once or more in a 30-day period to gain even the slightest bit of information about a local business. Basically, they're saying that there's this group of people that at one time or another, whether it's every day or hardly ever, have used Facebook. They're trying to capture as many people as possible into the statistical number. They said 2.1% of people had that relation, but 42% of businesses are there thinking that's an extremely important channel. 2% of your audience? What about 98% of your audience? So 42% of businesses are investing and think that their most important channel yields them access to 2% of their potential audience. What a major disconnect. I can't believe that statistic. And for it coming from BIA Kelsey is just phenomenal. Here's another mind-blowing statistic, guys. 68% of Facebook page or of businesses have a Facebook page. 68% of businesses have a Facebook page, but only 28% of their businesses have claimed their Google Places listing. 40% of your audience, hands down, all day long, is using Google to find your business. This is uncanny. I don't get it. It's like the search marketing industry, for whatever reason, just doesn't have exposure into this world that's out there, and people see the internet as these social channels because these business owners are consumers at the end of the day. They're the ones that are on there sharing their pictures with their friends and their family, and know that there's all these people, almost 1 billion people on Facebook. But what's going to happen here, guys? Where's the next step going to go? I mean, our industry, the search marketing industry, has to come together of some sort and educate. It's a matter of education. I don't know. It's bizarre. But that's got to change. It's going to change in the next 12 months or less. It has to. Business owners have to get smart. These industries, for every internet marketer that's on the call right now, you take these statistics and you bring them to the industries that you're working with and say, I want to get on your stage and I want to educate your industry on where their customers really are. Look at this. I'll have the proof. I will show them how to do it. Go to Google and type in top 10 local SEO strategies. You're going to find my blog post number 1 and 2 and maybe even 3 on different places. And by the way, there's another knock against all that duplicate content crap that you read about, because I got the same content on the Warrior Forum on my own blog, and I'm able to take a a lot of the real estate. But anyhow, I digress. We have to educate these business owners. Our industry has to educate these business owners. We've got ways to be able to educate these business owners. You've got to do it. Build autoresponders into your system. Get on my autoresponder and see what it is. Go out there. This is your opportunity to be able to educate. That's the way I interpret all of this. Whew. I should have got myself some water. Now I'm all hot. I'm getting worked up. I'm getting excited, and mouth's getting dry. Here's a really cool thing that Mike Blumenthal was talking about. What makes a good author or author picture in Google Maps? When when you use the author tag to get your little image to show up on the Google search, and he did a survey on what resulted in the best pictures for attorneys. Well, it really got me thinking here, is that he's on to something. His results are mind-blowing. What were the results here? Oh, I didn't bring the survey data over. All right, gonna have to go from the top of my head of some of the statistical data. The results were overwhelming that people had a perception, somewhere around 60% of people chose attorneys that had the Republican, Caucasian, blue suit, red tie type of look. Think about it. That's what you think about when you think of attorney, right? So what about a different profession? What about a dentist? I was just at the dentist today. Do you think maybe dental pictures? Dentists could probably take their photograph, and this is what I'm going to do for my dentist. Take a photograph of them with their mask over their face. If this holds true for all professions, it's so overwhelming in the attorney sector. It's got to apply. What about chiropractors and doctors? What about me as an internet marketer? What does an internet marketer look like? It's not that hard to put up a bunch of photos either and use Facebook and say, I'm looking to choose my profile picture for my career. This is what I do. What do you think is the best picture that signifies that? Anyhow, I think it's a big deal. And the reason why I think it's a big deal is because, number one, less than 10% of sites are using any of the markup language markup tools that Google's put out. One of those tools is your rel equals author tag. So what, less than 5% maybe we can say of websites are using that? It's probably way lower than that. We've seen statistical data on the major impact that this little image in the SERP has on click-through rates. So you better be doing it. And if it influences conversion that much more when competition starts to come out, this could potentially be a really good nugget of information. I just wanted to go through this a little bit quickly. This is not really relevant news. This perhaps could be a little bit more of a review, but it was a good read just about mobile SEO. It's not a myth. This is kind of contradicting, or it seems on the surface that it's contradicting my perceptions of mobile of not being an entity. But at the same time, these myths that we talk about ultimately support that exact claim. And that, number one, they say mobile search behavior is the same as desktop or a laptop or a tablet. And that's the claim. And we've discussed that. And reality is it is different. But when we start to look at what's different about it, this is not discussed in here. It is different. It absolutely has a different algorithm to it. There's no question. But if we're still following the principles of creating quality content in all the available media types and distributing it to relevant areas that our potential audience is going to reside, then we're going to get exposure. Well, these relevant areas, we take the different users that are out there. You take a desktop prospect and a mobile prospect. They're different users in different segments at that point in time. Why? Well, a desktop user is in their computer room or in their kitchen or somewhere where their desktop is physically located. A mobile user, well, could be anywhere. So you got to think about where might they be when they're searching for that particular service. What about a DUI attorney, for example? When somebody's looking on mobile devices, there's a potential chance that they've just had an accident. So you may want to display immediate information that says, have you had an accident or are you in an accident? The discussion is going to be real time right now. So when you're creating this press release content, when you're creating this other type of content, your jargon that you're going to use is the then and now of being in a car accident. That type of content is ultimately going to show up on the mobile aspects of it. And if you don't have any of that, yeah, you may not rank well in the mobile side of it. But on the organic side, you still may do well, or vice versa. So no, the claim should not be that mobile search behavior behaves the same, because it doesn't. Even though 9.5 searches out of 10, we see the same results. But when you start to really focus in on marketing of that aspect, you're just going to springboard those results. The claim is that Google doesn't have nearly the market share because of tools like Google Goggles and Google Now and Siri and a variety of different other mobile search interfaces. So people don't really see the search results. Seeing different types of results. But the fact is at the back end of it, you've got to look at, again, the market shares of it. Siri has really only got a 2% market share as a search engine at this point in time. And the fact that the Google products are driven by their search algorithm. We've talked a little bit about, mobile SEO being a lot like local SEO. Uh, I, I've never fell onto this claim, and I don't agree with that at all. As you guys know, and our take is that mobile is just merely an additional channel. Local, again, for the same reasons why for our businesses we never separated the services. I've seen so many agencies offer organic search marketing or organic SEO and local SEO or local search marketing as two different services. No, the service is search marketing, and depending on the business in question and the customers in question is how it's going to be displayed. Well, don't try to shove a square peg down a round hole. You're dealing with Google here. Very important. So those are a few tips that I just wanted to pull out of that there. You've really got to get down and think about the customers, and I just really want to emphasize that point. Okay, so on that note, I am going to take a 30-second break and go and get myself something to drink. And then I'm going to bring Catherine on the line, and we're going to talk a little bit about her situation. It's a plumbing client out of California, and it'd be nice if we had Josh on the line. Maybe I'd put him on the spot. He deals with a lot of plumbing clients we were talking about last week. But nonetheless, that's what we're going to do. So just give me a minute or 30 seconds, and I'll be right back.